And the synagogue was where all the people gathered to hear somebody preach. And Jesus was invited to preach on this day. Now, who are all these guys on the front row? Who do you think they are?
Pharisees.
The Pharisees. And they want to try and catch Jesus out. They want to try and get him to a place where they can get him in trouble. And so they want to be able to say to everybody, look, this man Jesus, he can't be from God because he keeps breaking God's rules. And so they think we can set him a trap. Now, there's one man on the front row who's not a Pharisee. Can you spot him?
Yeah.
Which one is he, Donna?
The very handsome one.
The very handsome one. He looks a bit younger. Now, I don't know what he looked like, whether he was young or handsome. The Bible doesn't say. But do you notice something about him that's maybe a bit different?
He has a burnt hand.
He has a kind of funny hand, doesn't it? It's called, the Bible says it's a withered hand. Okay, a withered hand. Do you know what withered means? What does withered mean?
Broken down, black.
Broken down, sort of shrunken, something wrong with it. Yeah, so he's kind of got this little kind of dwarf hand. Now, the Pharisees know that. What does Jesus love to do for people who've got something wrong with them? What does he love to do?
He likes to heal them.
He loves to heal them. That's what Jesus does. He loves to heal people. He says to the man with the withered hand, come and stand here. See, you've got one good hand there, and he's got this kind of shriveled up little hand. He's caught up in the middle of a bit of a war between the Pharisees and Jesus. Because the Pharisees were thinking, we've got him here, we've got him trapped. Either he's going to heal this guy, and then we can say, you've broken the law. You've broken the law because you worked on the Sabbath. Or else they can say to him, you can't even heal that man. If you can't heal that man, why should anyone believe in you? He looks at the Pharisees first of all, and he knows what they're thinking in their hearts. And so Jesus says to them, he says, I ask you, is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm? To save life or to destroy it? But Jesus says to them, is it right to do good things on the Sabbath or evil things? What do you think the answer is? Always right to do good things. If you're doing a good thing, there's no rule against it. And Jesus said to them, he said, if one of you had an ox or a donkey and it fell into the ditch on the Sabbath, you wouldn't just leave it there until the Sabbath was over. No, of course not. You'd pull it out. If one of you had a sick child and needed to go to the doctors, you'd get it sorted out straight away. You wouldn't just leave that child sick. So he says the same rule applies here. So Jesus says to the man, it says, after looking around at them all, he said to the man, what do you think he says to the man?
Stretch out your hand.
Stretch out your hand. So the man had to do something. The man had to show some faith. But the Bible says, and he did so, and his hand was restored. Isn't that amazing? Just by the word, Jesus is able to take this man's withered hand and to heal it. He does the good thing. He does the thing he's supposed to do. What do the Pharisees think of that? Are the Pharisees thinking, yay, we've seen a good thing happen? This is what they say. They were filled with fury. Their faces didn't change. This man, I think his face changed because suddenly his hand that he couldn't use before, he's got a fully working hand now. He can do things with his hand that he couldn't do before. But the Pharisees aren't happy because they've seen Jesus do something great. You would think they'd be happy, wouldn't you? You would think that they'd say, wow, the Son of God is very much in the middle of us. But all they did, they were filled with fury and they discussed with one another what they might do to Jesus. Do you know what that means? It means they plotted. Audrey, do you know?
They plotted on how they would punish him.
They plotted on how they could kill him or destroy him. Let's always remember this story that Jesus knows what the rules mean. And he knows the good rules from the bad rules. And he knows that it's more important to follow God's rules than any crazy rules that man makes up.